Hello, boys and girls. Lord Hawkeye here again, and welcome back to DM Chat. This question brought to you by SabreXT, a YouTuber whose channel I'll link down below, just to be nice, has asked the question of, what if you just discovered RPGs, you really want to get into them, how do you find people, and how do you get started? That's a good one. Well, if you are one of these people who's recently discovered the joy of role-playing and wants to get into it but doesn't know what to do, well, I got good news for you. It's a lot easier today than it used to be. Like back in the day, especially before there was internet, yeah, I feel so old. Back then, it was location, location, location. If you lived in a location that was not good for RPGs, you were pretty much hosed. There was just nothing you could do. There was the RPGA and stuff like that, but that still required a lot of travel. A lot of people weren't willing to do that, and others still didn't like the way they ran things. So if the stars just didn't happen to align right for you, you pretty much had to give up on the idea or move, but that's a little excessive just to play a game. Nowadays, with the internet and lots of tools available to you, it's way easier. So let's start with how do you get to know about it? Because it can be pretty intimidating if you're totally new to it and you see all these books. Oh, where do I even start? Well, as Spoonie has pointed out, and I will too, there's some board games that are a lot like D&D that you could try playing those, and if you like those, you can kind of graduate into D&D. It's a great little kind of intermediate step, so you don't get tossed fully into the deep end before you're ready. There's board games like Hero Quest and Dragon Strike, which are very good for that. And true, they can be hard to find unless you are willing to go on eBay and possibly pay a lot for them. But thankfully, there's another solution out these days. There is a game on Steam called Tabletop Simulator. You can buy that for $20, and there are mods for all manner of different kind of board games out there. So you can find Dragon Strike or Hero Quest on there. I have it on there myself, and you can get on there play that game. And if you decide you like it, you can kind of graduate more into D&D and games like that. And hey, and there's published modules if you want to get the hang of the balance and everything in D&D. They're a great place to start, and over time you can start making up your own settings like I do. So that's a great way to get into it. Now, the other thing is, how do you find other people? Yeah, it's a tricky one. Because I hate to say it, and as SabreXT has pointed out himself, a lot of people in the nerd community have a very bad habit of being very, very flaky. And honestly, I would recommend you avoid letting people like that in your group at all times. They're going to be late all the time, they're going to no-show, they're going to put a half-hearted effort into it, and they're just going to drag the whole thing down. So my first piece of advice is keep flaky people out. Make people have to actually take some initiative, and if they don't take initiative, then they're not in. What do I mean by that? Well, when I was looking for people to play in my D&D sessions, well, the first thing you do is find a public forum or something. I use my DeviantArt channel, but I actually have a fair bit of followers on there, so that at least got some traction in itself. If you don't have something like that, then find a Dungeons and Dragons forum or whatever RPG you're into, and they'll almost invariably have some forum in there for looking for people. So post on there. And the thing is, you need to be extremely specific and very clear in what you want to do, and what is expected of people who want to join. Like, I just set a date, and I told people, this is when we play. Please do not commit to this if you can't actually make it, because that's very disrespectful to people. Like, don't try to be a people pleaser. You really have to put your foot down with people, otherwise. Yeah, that's a mistake I actually made initially, was constantly trying to shift the day around to fit everyone's schedules, and that just caused me undue stress and ultimately didn't work. So I decided on a time, and this is the time, and that's how it is. you're gonna have to make it work. If you can't make it work, then you'll have to drop out and let someone else in who can. Thursdays at 3 p.m. That was where I set it. So yeah, it's good to make people take initiative like that, because then they'll feel much more invested in it and they'll put that much more effort into it, I find. So don't try to be a people pleaser. Make sure to keep flakes out. That's my recommendation. And also be sure to tell them what kind of game you're playing, like not just what RPG is it, like what is the style, what is the genre, like is it comedic, is it more serious, do you want to focus more on political stuff, yuck, or do you want to focus more on dungeon crawling and all that sort of thing. Like make it very clear what you're into, and look around for people who have those same interests. I think you'll find it to be much better that way. And let's see, what else is there? As for how to play online, there's lots of ways to play. I use the Roll20 site. I'll link that down below. I find it works very well. There's others out there, undoubtedly, and if anyone knows any they'd like to post about, please do so down below if you like. As for board games, I've mentioned Tabletop Simulator on Steam. It's $20. That's not much. And there's tons of mods, all of which can be downloaded for free onto it. So for $20, you can get pretty much any board game you want going on there. So that's a great place to go. I'd advise against letting random people into your board games when you're playing that, because the Tabletop Simulator has no way of enforcing rules. So you got to play with people you trust. Don't let random people in. They're just going to dick around with the pieces, flip the table, and generally screw things up for you. That's what I think, at least. So that's the main pieces of advice. Be clear in what you want. Set your foot down against flakes, and just generally, there's lots of resources on the internet to use. Make use of them. It's far easier to get into role playing now than it ever used to be. So yeah, if you're interested, please get in and have fun. And hey, if you like, I'll put my Skype info down below. If you want to talk to me and let me teach you how to play D&D or some other games, I'll be happy to do it. I'm very good at it. A lot of players in my current session, this is their first time, and they're so far having a blast. So I think I definitely have credentials to speak for. And and by the way, since we're on the subject, at the moment I've gotten Tabletop Simulator, and I've got a couple games for it. I'm looking into making a weekly event of playing board games with people. So if anyone's interested in that, contact me on Steam and I'll see what I can work out. I really would love to have a weekly night for playing board games as well as my usual D&D sessions. Just something to think about. And I do hope that helped, and thank you SabreXT for the question, and I hope this helped you too. Until next time, be aware and be wise.